Jimmy Kleinfeld, welcome on the show.
What's up, Yosef?
Hey, what's up? So everyone listening today is not like a typical episode. It's more of like a solo episode teaching people on how to start a podcast, meaning like the actual technicalities of how to do it, like the equipment you're going to need, the cameras you're going to need, like that's filmed on an iPhone. We'll get into like how one can start because a lot of people, you're the most recent person asking me like, hey, I'm thinking of starting to create content and I want to, share my message or whatever it might be. And you're like, how do I do it? How do I start? And it's like overwhelming. You go on YouTube and like be overwhelmed by all the different options, right?
For sure.
So for everyone listening, if you have any interest in learning, we're going to break down in around less than 30 minutes exactly how you can go ahead and start doing a podcast. And you don't need fancy equipment at all. Like this angle you're looking at right now, you're looking at me through, is my iPhone. I literally just put it on airplane mode so no one would call and interrupt it. And that's, an iPhone. And then this camera angle that's on Shimmy is like a camera I had from years ago. Like it's not such a crazy camera. It's a Lumix, but you really don't even need one. You can literally start a podcast with a phone. But I'm getting a bit off topic. I guess we'll get right into the beginning. So like, what was your reason for wanting to start one, and kind of like, what are you planning on doing?
So,
because I had no idea what I was going to do when I started, and I still don't really know. But
for sure. So I'm someone who consumes a lot of podcasts, my wife included. We have a TV at home, but we rarely watch. We just end up, putting on YouTube and listening to some podcasts, Jay Shetty, Stephen Bartlett. This morning, my wife was listening to a podcast, and I'm like, damn, like, I feel like this really speaks to me. But I've tried multiple times, I've asked you over the course of a couple of months, different questions that I came up with after doing hours of research, and I still felt like I barely had clarity, and you could just go down a rabbit hole, like, just trying to find the right camera or, the best option for an interface. And I don't even understand what these things are fully, but yeah. I think there's two things. I think there are people who want to become really good at knowing how to make a podcast. I think that's an art in its own, which I didn't realize. And then there are people who want to deliver content and get some sort of message out. So I think I'm more of the latter. I think it's interesting, how to set up a podcast, and that's what I want to talk about, just like for people who are novices and don't really want to get into, 10,000 hours on how to build a podcast. But yeah, so let's talk about.
All right, let's talk about it. So I'm by no means a professional.
Okay.
I started off as like a super novice. Now I'm probably like maybe intermediate because I'm just slowly getting 1% better with each one. I'm trying to like learn about, I only, for example, forgot the lighting up here. I got an Amaran 300. That's the model. And then I got a stand for the lighting. That's recent. Like I did 15 episodes under the name of From Forward, and that was zero lighting.
Right.
With just one or two cameras, like on iPhones. And the only initial thing I invested in was this audio interface. So you need something to capture the quality audio. What people don't realize is like the main thing is the audio, right? Because most people are not sitting and watching you on YouTube or Spotify. They're listening. I think a lot of people start watching just to see like the first minute, and they'll just tune it off, and then they'll just listen on audio. So the first thing you're gonna need is an audio interface. So it really depends on your budget, and like what you want to accomplish with it.
Okay. So before we go there, so you're saying straight up audio.
Audio's that should be your main
natively.
thing, right? So you're like, I made a little list over here of like everything your needs. So I don't forget anything. So your basic equipment, the most important is going to be your audio interface. However you capture that audio. So you can literally even, like I brought this as an example. This is more high end. This I literally only bought a month ago, and I'll do it if I'm doing a podcast on the go, right? So this is, Rode also makes one. You can also get like knockoffs on Amazon for super cheap. This one's like $350. This is the DJI mics that are wireless. So for everyone looking here, right, you basically can take this. This is the audio interface pretty much, and it attaches either to your iPhone over here, or you can attach it to even a DSLR camera, like the one that's filming Shimmy here. You can attach it to that, and it's wireless. So you can do an interview on the go. You can interview someone from a distance. Like a lot of YouTubers will use this, like content creators who like go out and interview people in the street. And then this will go on your collar, these little devices here. So this is more of like a high-end one that I'll use for either backup audio or for when I'm traveling. And I literally will hook this up into my iPhone, right? So that's like all you really need, honestly. If somebody's like, hey, I don't want to spend $400 or $500 on this audio interface, and then get mics, and then get mic stands and mic arms, whatever you want to call them. That could come out to around $1,000, right?
Sure.
So this will give you crisp quality audio, the DJI ones or the Rode ones, or you can even get plug-in ones to your iPhone, like that plug-in. And with this and an iPhone, you can start making content. Like it's really that simple. And this is like packs up, and your iPhone you always have on you, right? So
cool.
that's like super basic. Like
So
you have no excuse not to start.
What would be
Audio
the benefit of using, boom arms, condenser mic, and interface over that? Because that seems like a cleaner look. Just pop something on your shirt.
I hear. Yeah, a lot of people just do that. Like there's a podcast, like a small, like upcoming podcast, kind of like mine, where it's small. I think it's called the Momentum Podcast. I believe he's like a Syrian kid, Jewish kid, who's like 16 years old, interviewing like awesome guys, and his podcast is blowing up, and he literally just goes to their house or goes wherever he goes, and he uses that wireless one. When he's doing it at his house, he kind of has the same setup as me, but and most of his content is on that. Literally, you can it's that simple.
Wow.
Is having the good audio and then using your phone, and then that's all you really need. Like you can get down to nitty gritty of like the differences, but this is just more of a legitimate setup because you have the you have the boom arm, or you can pull it in, and the audio, the quality on this is a little bit better than that.
You're definitely not compromising on using a lav mic on your shirt.
Not really.
That would definitely work.
Like this is obviously going to be more of a radio sound of like, real like because this is, those you can technically hold by your mouth, and it's going to be very close. But
yeah, I was telling you before we got on, I'm like this, when I put the headphones on, I was like, this sounds like a Joe Rogan podcast. Like you hear that boomy, kind of making your voice sound more radio-y.
It's like a radio thick. I don't know. And like also when you do like a podcast like this, the reason I wear the headphones is to monitor the audio, because if I start standing out like here, those people listening, it starts cutting out, and then I can know if my guest is not speaking too close to it, I'll be able to monitor the audio, and that's why I wear it, because I don't have like a Jamie like Joe Rogan who's in the background, with the cameras, right, and like running the audio and telling you everything's good. Like I have to be my own producer, I guess, the whole time, making sure everything's good. Sure. So that's all you need. You need an audio way to capture audio and a way to capture video, and then we'll get to the next step, which is if you want to backtrack, you plan your show, whatever your name is, your topic. I have it all here. You decide your format. You're going to be a solo, right? Are you going to co-host it? You're going to have a co-host, or are you just going to be like you and a guest, right? So you have to make a decision for whoever's starting. Like, are you just going to be you speaking to the world, or is it going to be like kind of what I do? I just have a guest on usually, because who cares about me? I just want to learn about other people. Like I'm not important in any way. So like I want to learn from other people. And then maybe eventually when I learn enough from a lot of other people, I can start talking about specific topics. And then you can also have co-hosts. Like some people will have a buddy on and then they'll interview someone, right? That's another fun way to do it. But then it's probably logistically harder. If you have to get you always have to be with your friend, and he also has to be available to have a guest on. So yeah, you plan your show, how you're going to do it, and then you set a schedule. Like, are you going to do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, daily, right? So that, and then your video, which is starting your iPhone, you have no excuse, an audio interface, whatever your budget is, right? The next thing is going to be what a lot of people have issues with is the recording and the editing. So I'm kind of curious what you're thinking about, like how, if you're scared of how it works and whatnot.
Sure. So the first question I came up with today with my little research I did was, obviously I want to get that professional look, the multiple angles. But if you're having audio coming in from different devices, how do you sync that? How do you make sure that, when you're showing it, the finished product, that all of that aligns? Are you just grabbing audio from one of the cameras and using that? Because I guess it doesn't really matter, but yeah, walk me through, how that works.
So yeah, you don't use the audio from the cameras, right? I mean, at least for this, because this audio is being captured into the Rode interface. And then essentially when I'm pulling it in, and now I don't edit my videos. I have an editor I found on Fiverr, and he's awesome. If anyone needs tech, email me. I'll tell you his number. His name's Demir. He's awesome. And he does all that, right? So, but all you really, back to your question is, if you're not using, I'll just keep this on the table. This basically will take the good audio and it'll bake it essentially right into your phone. So you don't have to do anything. That's the cool thing about having this, because you don't have an audio file and a video file. But with multiple angles, like you were saying, is you have the audio, which is captured into the audio interface, you pull it into Final Cut Pro, into Adobe, into DaVinci, whatever platform you're using. And now there's so many like easy ones like with AI that make it super simplistic. And I'm sure you can find videos on YouTube. And you take that angle, right? Let's say you're speaking. So now on the editing software, you have it on you, and then it's on me, and you switch it, and you just link up. People do like a clap to like line up the video and the audio, and then you cut out all that audio from the video files, and you just basically you layer the audio, if that makes sense. I'm not a professional by any means, but that's basically what I did, and I used videos on YouTube. Anyone can figure out like how do you do it, and it's really not that complicated. It's just people are scared to start, and it's just like just start and figure it out, and then eventually you can start getting editors to do it for you, or even there's so many AI tools now that you don't even need an editor. You can put in your camera angles, and you can put in the audio, and it layers everything, and it does the whole entire thing for you. I don't know the names, but I should be able to look them up after.
So you're saying it kind of finds, it like not dubs your video, but it kind of looks at the video and knows when whatever audio you're talking.
It's really wild. I mean, there's so many.
Pretty cool.
There's so many tools now, like with ChatGPT, with AI, that really makes the whole workflow. For example, a description, right? Like say after you're like, oh my God, I gotta write a whole description. Used to be like a whole schlep. Now I literally will say like, hey, like even for this episode, if you look at the description, it's going to be, I'll probably say into ChatGPT like, hey, I had a podcast with my buddy Shimmy who's looking to start a podcast, and we go into how to start one and how it works. And then literally it just does that. And it gives you a whole description. Then you could personalize it. Be like, hey, add this. Because like I'm too lazy to spend 30 minutes typing. Like why would I want to do that? It's just more efficient.
It really sounds like you don't really need to know that much. There's no excuse, like you said, to get a podcast started if you want to. It's just knowing what's possible and what's out there. And then once you know that, you can kind of find the tools online that make it a lot more easier than, let's say, 10 years ago when someone wanted to do something similar.
Exactly. Right? Like you don't have to, if you want to make something like a high production, okay, that's going to cost you money, and that's going to be a lot because you're going to need, 3 expensive cameras, lighting, and then you're going to have to pay an editor but like if you wanted to do something like what I'm doing, like super basic, like half my angles are on an iPhone, and I just have like an audio interface that was like $300-400, and then the mics and everything, it's just like a one-time investment. And that's like using quote-unquote top-tier stuff. Like you can really there's really no excuse. And it's just like learning anything. Like you just start and you get better. Like if you go on Spotify and listening, like you go to my previous episodes, which were under the name From Forward, like they were terrible. Like I started with no video, and eventually I went to video, and then my audio was bad, and then like the lighting was bad. And I'm slowly like every episode trying to make it 1% better, and eventually like it will be better, So it's a lot of people have like that fear of starting, and they're just like, dude, if you want to speak to people you want to learn about, or you want to start a podcast, just start. And like, who cares? No one's watching you in the beginning anyways. Yeah. Like, to be honest, like,
or do what I did. I mean, like, I could have easily, for a second I was like, what, I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm not going to ask someone else, but like find someone like Jose, find someone who already did the work and leverage that, like, you don't need to put in the hundreds of hours. You could just find someone who's already done it, and then, if they're kind enough to share like Yosef is. So
yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. I mean, I still do. Like I've done a few podcasts where like the audio was, because I wasn't wearing the headphones, where this guest had it like all the way out here, and the whole podcast.
Oh gosh,
it was like that bad.
It's like those weddings where they have the lens on the camera.
And then after, I was so embarrassed, and I had to send it to an editor, and like I was trying to fix it, and I had someone clean it up with AI, and like it was doable. Like it just didn't sound crisp, and it was just like a learning, thing.
Sure.
It was like, I believe anyone can learn anything. I mean, if it's like nothing crazy, but like if they put in the work, like it's really super simple. It's like, it's a camera angle and it's audio, and you blend it, and then you just get better. Like you get better lighting. Like I invested in the lighting, and then you can get a better camera eventually. And it's not really like, you don't have to go crazy. Like I said, no one's listening in the beginning. Like the first, 50 episodes, again, 50 views, 60 views, like you and your grandmother are going to be watching it. Like same with mine also. Like it's like small.
So you're saying in the beginning, like just
don't overthink it.
Just investing in like the fancy equipment off the bat is not necessarily going to get you jump started with views. It's not going to help.
I think it's my personal opinion is like, it also depends on what you can afford, right? But like, I think it's stupid to invest thousands of dollars, because let's say you don't like it. Let's say you do 5 episodes and you're like, oh my God, this editing is terrible. No one's listening to my content. I'm burnt out. So that's why I start small. Like start on an iPhone, and get like one of these audio interfaces, or get like a lavalier mic, they're called, I think, on Amazon for like $20, that Bluetooth to your phone. Just start like that and see if you even like, having guests, making content, editing, and making a thumbnail, making a description. Like just start, and then from there you can see, versus investing like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like this is probably like my 20th-ish episode that I've done, or more, like 25th maybe, between the YM show and my previous one. And like I finally invested in lighting like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And I finally got a second camera. It was the Sony EV10. I did a lot of research on like the cheapest good camera that can film. Also, another note that I didn't say, if you're gonna get a DSLR camera, which is like your regular, camera, a lot of them are limited to
A couple of minutes.
29 minutes,
Right.
and they'll cut off. I forgot what the reason is. Some sort of tax reason. It's pretty wild. You can look it
Really?
up. Yeah, it's a real like a tax reason why they can't film longer. But Lumix films longer than that, and then the Sonys also don't have a limit. So you have to do research on that. That's why I just start with the iPhone, like at first.
For sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then publishing. That's the last thing. So how do you publish it? Someone's like, okay, I got I got this going. I got the camera, the audio. I edited it. Okay, now what do I do with it? So. I think the first place is YouTube. YouTube is great because I think it's one of the biggest. Podcast platforms now, and also YouTube will push it out to people if it's like Gary Vee is.
Sure.
So Gary Vee talks about, it's not about like building a big following now. It's like if you make quality content that is in a specific niche, YouTube will recognize that with its algorithm and it'll start pushing it out to those people. So, if you put something onto Apple Music or Spotify, you probably get like 2 listens, right? But like you put it onto YouTube, you can get 100 listens on your first one. So you can put it on YouTube and then you put it under the category of podcasts.
Cool.
So you'll see that. And then I put it on, I use Spotify Creators, which I think was Riverside before. I use Spotify Creators and then I put it into there and it has like an RSS feed. I don't even know what an RSS feed is, but I learned that if you copy paste that RSS feed, when you put it in, it distributes it automatically to Apple Podcasts. So when I put it into Spotify, it automatically distributes it to Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Nice.
And then with the description, I just copy paste it on my iPhone notes, and then it goes to on my MacBook, and then I just copy paste that onto Spotify and then onto YouTube.
So
my
initial,
so it's super simple, and then it's out there. You just have to make a description, and that's it.
So my initial feeling is to kind of just put it out on YouTube. Is there a reason why I would want to have it on multiple platforms? Obviously,
it just gets more Go ahead.
Yeah, I would assume, you're going to get people on Spotify that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten on YouTube. Not everyone's paying for the premium, so, it's not like they could have their phone off in the car and still listen. On Spotify, they could. But yeah, I feel like YouTube just speaks more to me just because, everyone could see the analytics. I feel like with Spotify, if a podcast...
You have analytics also.
Oh, they have that as well?
I have analytics. But, like, I get 90% more views on my YouTube for my podcast than I do on my Spotify. But like you said, a reason why I put it on Spotify also is, a lot of people, in the YouTube world don't have YouTube. So they want to be able to consume it from Spotify or from Apple Music. And then also a lot of people don't have the premium. So it's like, they're not going to sit there with their phone open and go through ads to watch your podcast. They're going to put it in the background while they're working out, when they're driving to school, and whenever, doing whatever. So that's why you want it on those platforms also. But YouTube is the most important in terms of getting found and pushing it out. Like YouTube will literally push it out to new people. Like, this is a brand new podcast. Like as we're speaking, I mean, my phone's over there, but I think I'm at like 133 subscribers, and that's not a lot at all. But like I think like 3-4 podcasts ago, I did one with Jason Kapnick. It got almost 1,500 views because people liked it, and I guess the algorithm pushed it out, and it goes by how much people engage with it.
Which one was that about?
That was about fitness, martial arts, competitive shooting.
Do you think the subject
I think the subject, I mean, yeah, I think it's an interesting subject. But the craziest thing is it shows you all the stats. Like the audience retention on that video was like 49 minutes.
Wow.
So the average person out of the 1,500 people was 49 minutes they watched it. So YouTube's like, wow, this is a good video. So it starts pushing it, it pushes it. I don't know how it works, but it starts pushing it out. And like my tiny podcast, Ben, which had even less than 133 subscribers, had like maybe 60 or 50, got 1,500 views.
Wow.
Which is wild, right? And I put it on Spotify, and I got like 10 listens, right? So that's why you had to leverage different platforms.
Nice.
But that's like that. And then, one more thing, I guess I have like the 4 steps, right? So you plan your show, you have your basic equipment, right? And then you have your recording and editing, then you have your publishing, how you distribute it. And the last thing I have here is how you promote it, right? So you want to basically share it through WhatsApp. That's like a good way to get your friends and your grandmother and your mother to watch it, right?
I was gonna say you're pretty aggressive, if I could say, with putting it out there on your status, sending people links. Is that something that you just is par for course in the beginning? You just kind of got to get it.
I don't know, to be honest. I've heard two. I guess people comment below if anyone's listening and they know this. I heard that some people say it's bad because it ruins the organic growth, right? So if you just put it on YouTube, YouTube will see who likes your stuff, and then those type of people will see your content and they'll start listening to it and consuming it. And then it'll push it to more of those people. But if you start sending it to your mother, your grandmother, your this chat, that chat, and those
diverse
people,
demographic,
yeah,
right?
and then the algorithm will get confused. So what I'm doing by putting it on my status on WhatsApp is not necessarily a good thing, but I think the people who would listen to my podcast are the type of people who listen to the other ones. Meaning, I think it's not like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but that's I guess a way that I share it with my friends. Like, hey, I'm working hard on this little podcast. Like, check it out. But I don't know. It could be ruining the growth. That's something I should look into after.
I would definitely say for myself, when I do see, you're not the only one. I have other people, with WhatsApp statuses with their podcast that they put out. For example, Ellie Nash. And, if he's consistently putting it out on a status every week when he uploads a video, eventually I'm going to watch one of them. I very often see that status update on WhatsApp, like while I'm busy with something and I totally forget about it, or I'm just like, okay, not in the mood for this right now. But if you just keep putting it out there, like eventually someone who's not watching your show will pick it up and be like, okay, that looks interesting. I want to, see what he has to say about martial arts or, concealed carry weapons and all that
whatever
stuff.
it might be. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Same thing with this. Like, everyone has a few hundred people in their contacts, so even only 100 people look at your status, it's still 100 people aware of it, and maybe they'll click on it, maybe they won't, maybe they'll share it with someone that will get shared to another 100, 200 people.
For sure. So going back,
that's pretty much the goal. If anyone has any specific questions, just drop them in the comments, whether YouTube or Spotify. I don't think you can comment on Apple, but maybe you can. And I'll maybe do another episode on something specific of whatever it might be. This is a general thing. But what were you gonna say?
So going back to the first step, planning, your show and what your topics are going to be. Do you have any advice to give in terms of, targeting something more niche or kind of having something broad to say? Because, my initial fear is if I start going into, something I enjoy to talk about, a niche subject, then it kind of looks like you're losing your soul. Like the soul of your podcast when you start going into other things as you develop? Or do you just make it about who you are as a person and then, you have multiple interests? It could be music. It could be, Judaism.
What I'm doing is probably the wrong way to grow quickly because I'm interviewing people who my personal interests, right? So it's a lot of Rabbanim. It's, people learning about Judaism, Torah, and then also my hobbies, right? Like martial arts, competitive shooting, fitness, business, right? So my podcast is mainly about religion, business, and martial arts, right? So that's probably the worst way to grow quickly because YouTube's probably a bit confused. I have on one end a lot of viewers from the competitive shooting world or in the martial arts world watching the podcast. Then I have a rabbi on, right? Then I have a business guy, a real estate guy on. So it's definitely not good, I don't think, for the growth, but it depends what you're trying to do. Are you trying to go viral? Are you trying to be this big, big shot type person, or are you just trying to reach more people? So I'm by no way a professional, but I think the best way to grow quickly would be to stick to a niche, whatever that niche might be, whether it's mental health, whether it's religion, whatever it might be, right? And just kind of pound in that topic, and then you will grow. And then once you get big, then people say once you get big, then you can go wide, right? Because you got momentum. But I just kind of went wide from day one, and maybe that's why I'm not growing as quick. But I don't really care. I really do it because I enjoy it, and I get to sit next to awesome people. Speak to you, speak to a lot of people, and learn. So for me, it's just I enjoy it because I always listen to let's say Joe Rogan. I was like, oh wow, it's so cool. He gets to sit with all these cool people and ask them whatever he wants. So I figure what the heck, I want to do my own, or I can ask people what I want, what I'm curious about.
For sure.
So
yeah, I was gonna say.
I guess I don't know if that answers your question, but it's kind of you probably would grow quicker if you stuck to one niche. and just hammered in that niche and just talked about every topic on that specific thing. But you can also go wide. I mean, it depends like why you're doing it. Like, are you trying to monetize it? Are you doing it because you enjoy it? Like, you know.
So ultimately, it seems like, you know, obviously if you go down a niche path, like for example, you know, you're always telling me about Think Media.
Yeah, they're great. Everyone listening to Think Media is where I learned a lot about, like, they describe how to use gear, how it works, lighting, all that stuff.
Right. How to make content and, you know, capture audience. But if you look at their, you know, they have to be a very successful one. But if you look at like a podcast like Joe Rogan or Jay Shetty or all those guys, they're just really selling themselves. It's not really like a niche, you know, they're not talking about technology. They're not talking about the latest iPhone that came out.
Yeah.
They're kind of just being themselves and just interviewing people. And those tend to be the biggest, you know, most successful podcasts. So, yeah, I agree there's two different strategies here. But I think you can't go wrong with either. I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you enjoy what you're doing and like you're not doing it to make money, there's no way to go wrong with it, you know?
For sure.
Hope that helped anyone listening. Guys, like and subscribe. It really helps. Like if you're watching, I think the last time I looked at the stats, it was like 96% of people now are that are watching are not subscribed. So just hit the dumb button down there. It helps. Guys. It helps the algorithm. And then also just drop a like, drop a comment, give it engagement. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
All right.